Lesson 2, Unit 8. The approval of the project plans. This is the last step in the planning phase, and it's a quality control process to ensure the project plans are complete and accurate. These are the steps in this process: review of the plans, approval of the plans, setting the baseline on all the plans, and then to communicate the plans. The review and approval of the plan is a quality control measure to ensure the project plans are integrated, complete, and accurate. It requires the contribution of a small group of subject matter experts, which can include project managers from different units, consultants, members of the steering committee, and senior managers. Some organizations have a project management office that provides project support, and they are in charge of reviewing the project plans. The idea is to bring expertise and a different perspective to the management plans by making sure the plans are completely integrated, that have incorporated lessons learned from previous projects, and nothing critical is missing from them. The review will assess if the plans are complete. Teams are always in a rush and don't have enough time to develop the plans. As a result, there may be key pieces of the plan that were not completed or are not in the detail needed for use in the implementation phase. The review will look to see how well the plans are integrated, ensuring that plans can be used in a coordinated and unified manner, and the team doesn't encounter situations such as the procurement plan is not aligned with the project schedule. Finally, the review will ensure that all information on the plan is accurate, that there are no mistakes or errors that can jeopardize the implementation of the project. The team and partners need assurance that information on the plan is correct, because these plans are going to guide their work. It is not unusual that the review might find some errors, inconsistencies, and misinformation from the plans. The project manager and the team will make corrections and resubmit them for approval. The approval of the plans is an authorization for the project manager to start the implementation phase. The group in charge of reviewing the plans will include recommendations for their use during the implementation phase. By approving, the project team and the project manager can then start implementing the project activities. Plans can be approved by cycle. The project team submits the plans for the first cycle. The approval is then authorized to begin work on the first cycle only. After the end of the first cycle, the team will prepare and submit the plans for the second cycle for approval. This reduces the effort to review plans for a whole project, and in each cycle, there are significant improvements to the plans that can reduce the errors and increase the quality of the plans. Once the plans are approved, the next step is to set a baseline for all the project management plans. The baseline is a picture of the project indicators before implementation. The baseline is needed to assist in the evaluation of the project performance. It helps measure the plan values versus the actual values, which in turn helps improve the estimation accuracy, especially the time and cost estimates. The baseline helps measure how far does the project deviate from the original plans, and the baseline will be used in the monitoring phase to look at the initial estimates and compare them with the actual performance. If there are significant variances, the project manager will need to make changes to the plan estimates for the next cycle. The first plan where we need a baseline is the scope management plan. Once the plan is approved, the list of all activities, outputs, and outcomes becomes the baseline and will be used to identify any activities that will be added or modified during the implementation phase. The scope baseline is the approved version of a scope statement, work breakdown structure, and its associated W's dictionary. Scope baseline can be changed only through formal control procedures and is used as a basis for comparison. A baseline of the schedule is one of the main project management documents that should be created before the project starts the implementation phase. It sets out the initial values for the activity, plan dates, and milestones. In this example, the baseline is colored in gray, and the actual values are in blue and red for the critical path. In the first activity, we see that it took less time than what was planned. In the second activity, we see that it took longer than planned. And that has an implication because that activity is on the critical path, and that will have an impact on the end date of the project. The other important baseline is the budget. In this chart of the S-curve, the blue line represents the planned values of the budget. During the implementation phase, the team adds information from the accounting system that represents the actual cost incurred by the project, represented in the red line. There are variances, especially at the start and at the end of the project. In most cases, those variances could be caused by delays in the implementation or that the original estimates were not accurate. For example, changes in market conditions have caused prices to rise or fall. Early monitoring using the baseline helps analyze the actual performance of the project and allows for timely changes to avoid negative surprises at the end. Another important baseline is the initial value of all log frame indicators. The chart in the example shows the baseline indicators for 7 groups of beneficiaries. The blue column shows the planned target, what the project aims to achieve. The green column shows the baseline, the values obtained from the baseline study that show the conditions at the start of the project. The column in red shows the actual progress made by the project in the first quarter. The baseline and the actual data help identify if there are any problems. In this example, we can look at Group 2 and Group 7, where there hasn't been any changes from the baseline. That helps the project manager focus on those groups and investigate the reasons for the delays and take corrective actions. Once the plans are approved and there is a baseline, the final step is to communicate these plans. Access to these plans helps key stakeholders increase their understanding of the project. It helps them understand how the project will be delivered and learn the challenges and the risks it will face. It also helps build support from those key stakeholders that may not have a lot of interest in participating and contributing to the project. When they are aware of what the project is trying to achieve, they will have a better understanding of the role of the project. Communicating or sharing this information helps coordinate actions with other units in the organization, with partners, and even other projects or initiatives that are dependent on the project's timely delivery of goods or services. Who should be informed? The project team should have a copy of all the project plans or have access to the project plans and be the first group to be informed on any changes to the plans. The steering committee, they also need to have a copy of the plans. Some internal stakeholders, people in the finance unit and the procurement unit, even the human resource unit, they need to have information that corresponds to the areas in which they are providing support. External stakeholders, such as the donor and partners, they also need to have a copy of the plans that relates to the areas of interest, especially the scope, the schedule, and the monitoring plans. Stakeholders should receive the plans that are important to them. There is no need to share all information that is no value to them. Communicating the plans is the last step in the planning phase, but it is a continuous process. Anytime there are changes in the plans, the project manager needs to communicate these changes to all people who are using the information to work on the project. If changes are not communicated and plans are not updated, the team will keep working on information from the old plans and that will create more problems.